So imagine walking up to a museum box office on your next vacation, looking up at the board and realizing it's going to cost your family of four, like over $120 just to look at dinosaur bones for a couple of hours.
Right. Yeah, the sticker shock is so real.
Oh, it's brutal. But now imagine walking into that exact same museum, skipping the line entirely and just walking right through the doors for absolutely free.
Which sounds completely made up.
I know. But you can do it all because a few months prior, you donated $50 to some tiny, relatively unknown historical society 1,000 miles away.
I mean, it sounds like an accounting error, but it is actually one of the most sophisticated, deliberate networks in the whole world of cultural tourism.
And unlocking that network is our mission for today. We're talking directly to you, the ever-curious learner out there.
Yeah, because we all know that when you plan a trip, it is incredibly easy to focus entirely on the massive structural costs, right? The flights, the rental cars, lodging.
Exactly. But the actual reason you packed a bag in the first place, the things you want to do and see, that can just quietly and ruthlessly dismantle a travel budget.
Oh, without a doubt.
So we are looking at a brilliant piece of source material today. It's a March 2026 post published on the Red Solo Traveler blog by a writer named Louis.
Yeah, it's a great piece.
It really is. The post is bluntly titled, How to Get into Museums for Free. And the strategies inside go way, way beyond just clipping coupons. Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with the stark reality of why entering a museum has become such a high-stakes financial proposition.
Right. Well, if you look at major cultural institutions today, like a prominent history museum, or taking a guided tour of a meticulously restored historic mansion.
Oh, or spending an afternoon in a presidential library, right?
Exactly. Admission typically runs between $15 and $30 per person now.
Per person, which basically forces families to treat cultural exploration as a luxury item.
Yeah, it really does.
I mean, if you have this insatiable curiosity and you want to visit 3 or 4 institutions over a long weekend, you're essentially looking at a car payment just in entrance fees alone.
Which is wild when you think about it.
It is. And it leads to people crossing destinations off their itinerary, not because they aren't interested, but because the financial barrier to entry for knowledge is simply too high.
Yeah, and to understand why that barrier exists, we have to look at the invisible mechanics of museum operations.
Right.
Because we often view museums simply as, large rooms holding old objects, but the operational realities are staggering. Keeping a 400-year-old canvas from cracking, that requires museum-grade 24-hour climate control.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about the AC bill.
Right. And preserving fragile historical documents requires specialized lighting, archival storage, teams of expert restorers. I mean, the utility bill alone for a medium-sized natural history museum would bankrupt most small businesses in a month.
That's incredible.
So they charge $30 a ticket because preserving human history is an astronomically expensive endeavor.
And that operational reality brings us directly to the primary solution outlined in the Red Solo Traveler post, right? This system known as the NARM program.
Yes, the North American Reciprocal Museum Program.
Right, NARM. And when I was trying to wrap my head around the architecture of this network, the closest parallel I could really find is the strategy behind a premium travel credit card.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, like people will willingly pay a substantial upfront annual fee to a massive financial institution because they know it unlocks airport lounges, travel credits, waived baggage fees down the line.
Right, yeah.
You absorb a known cost upfront to systematically remove friction and variable costs from your future travels.
That is an excellent framework for it, honestly, though NARM substitutes the multinational bank with local philanthropy.
Okay.
So instead of purchasing a corporate perk, you are making a tax-deductible donation to a local participating institution.
Right, so it could be like your town's regional art gallery or a local botanical garden or a neighborhood planetarium.
Exactly. And beyond the eventual travel benefits, that initial donation anchors you to your own community. You become a member of that local institution.
Which typically grants you gift shop discounts, access to special member-only hours, maybe invitations to private lectures or gallery openings.
Yeah, you transition from being just a passive resident to an active participant, with a voice in the institution's growth. What's fascinating here is the brilliant symbiotic nature of this economic model.
Yeah.
Think about it from the perspective of a small-town museum director. They are operating on razor-thin margins. They're constantly stressing over unpredictable daily ticket sales, competing for municipal grants.
Right, they never know what the budget's going to look like.
Exactly. So by participating in NARM, they offer a massive incentive that secures them vital, recurring, upfront funding from their local community base. They get a predictable revenue stream to keep their lights on.
Wow, so it's a huge win for them.
It really is. And in exchange, the patron U gains a deeply rooted local connection alongside a literal passport to a continent-wide network.
Okay, but I do have to challenge the sheer mechanics of this.
Yeah.
Because my first instinct is to look for the loophole that breaks the system, right?
It's actually, yeah.
Like, wait, so if I just drop $5 into the crumpled, the little plexiglass donation box in the lobby of my local historical society, I don't suddenly get a VIP card that grants me free access to the Guggenheim, right? How does the program protect itself from being exploited?
Well, the architects of ARM anticipated that exact scenario, which is why the fine print is critical. Reciprocal benefits are not triggered by spare change.
Right.
To enter the network, you must donate at a specific qualifying membership tier set by the individual institution.
Meaning I can't just buy the basic, $20 student pass and call it a day.
Correct. Usually the threshold is the family tier, or maybe a slightly elevated patron or supporter tier.
Which is what, $100?
Yeah, it often hovers around the $100 mark. And furthermore, the local museum you choose must be an active, dues-paying participant in the ARM network. You have to verify their participation before making the donation.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. The genius of requiring a higher tier is that it ensures the local museum actually nets a meaningful financial gain, rather than just, giving away a continent of access for the cost of a cup of coffee.
Right. So the local institution gets a solid $100 commitment, and you get the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The sheer staggering scale of the return on that initial investment.
Oh, absolutely. The geographic footprint effectively erases borders for the curious traveler.
We are talking about a network that spans the United States, Canada, Mexico, Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and the Cayman Islands.
It's massive.
A localized donation in your hometown suddenly has continental purchasing power. It's wild.
And the breadth of the content available is just as expansive as the geography. I mean, NARM is not restricted to traditional fine art or dusty portrait galleries.
Right. The umbrella covers botanical gardens, zoos, nature centers,
planetariums, massive aquariums. It's really designed to accommodate the entire spectrum of human curiosity.
Whether your passion is modern sculpture, hard sciences, or local ecology. And the Red Solo Traveler post specifically highlights a few heavyweight institutions to demonstrate the caliber of this network.
Oh, yeah, they list some great ones.
Like your local membership gets you free admission into the Chicago History Museum, which normally charges premium big city prices.
Yep.
You can explore the Martha's Vineyard Museum or just walk right into the Griffin Museum of Photography.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we can see how a network of this scale fundamentally alters human behavior, really, and the psychology of travel.
How so?
Well, when you are paying $30 a head at the door, you become incredibly risk-averse.
Right.
You only visit the sure things. You stick to the blockbuster exhibits, the Egyptian mummies or the Impressionist masters, because you have to guarantee a return on a significant financial investment.
Yeah, you essentially treat a museum visit like an expensive Broadway show. You demand to be entertained.
Exactly. But when you possess an unarmed membership, that financial friction completely evaporates. You might be walking down an unfamiliar street in a new city and pass a highly niche museum dedicated entirely to, the history of horology.
Wait, what's horology?
The science of clockmaking.
Oh, right, okay.
So if tickets were $20, you'd probably walk right past it. But with your reciprocal membership, you think, well, I have 30 minutes to kill before dinner, why not?
Yeah, you just wander in.
Exactly. You engage with a subject you previously knew nothing about. By removing the financial barrier, NR transforms cultural institutions from high-stakes scheduled commitments into a spontaneous landscape of discovery.
It encourages intellectual risk-taking.
Exactly.
But, a network this vast has to have guardrails, right? If I live in a city with 10 different museums, what stops me from buying a membership to the absolute cheapest one and then using it to get into the other 9 for free every single weekend?
Which would effectively starve your own local arts scene.
Right. So what stops that?
Well, that is the exact vulnerability the network's rules are designed to prevent. There is a strict geographic restriction, commonly referred to as the 15-mile radius rule.
Okay, how does that work?
Generally, you cannot use your reciprocal NARM privileges at another participating museum if it is located within a 15-mile radius of the institution where you purchased your membership.
Oh, so it forces you to actually travel to use the travel benefit.
Precisely. It prevents locals from cannibalizing the ticket revenue of their neighboring institutions.
That's smart.
Yeah, and additionally, museums often carve out exemptions for specially ticketed traveling exhibits.
Oh, like if they have a special collection coming through.
Right. If a museum spends $5 million to temporarily host a collection of rare artifacts from the Louvre, they rely on localized ticket sales to recoup that massive investment. So reciprocal members might get into the permanent collection for free, but they will likely still have to pay a surcharge for the blockbuster event.
Got it.
The golden rule of reciprocal travel is to always search the destination on the central database first and review the specific restrictions of the museum you intend to visit.
That makes total sense. And that transition from individual philanthropy to systemic access is just brilliant. But we also have to acknowledge that committing to an annual, $100 patron tier just isn't the right move for every listener.
Oh, for sure.
If you only take one brief trip a year, the math might not work out. Which brings us to the a la carte alternatives for museum hopping.
Right.
If ARM is a model built on individual philanthropy, let's look at the models built on civic utility, targeted grants, and strategic marketing.
And the source material offers an excellent breakdown of these specialized access avenues, starting with the Blue Star Museum's initiative.
Yeah, this is a summer-specific program designed to offer free admission to active duty military personnel and their families across the United States.
The mechanism behind Blue Star is really a masterclass in targeted public-private partnerships, because on the surface, it is a direct, tangible way to honor the sacrifices made by military service members. But structurally, it addresses a highly specific social challenge. Military families endure constant relocations, deployments and stress.
They're perpetually the new kids in town.
Exactly. So removing the financial barrier to shared educational experiences allows those families to build positive, stabilizing memories and integrate into their temporary communities during the vulnerable summer months when schools are closed.
That's incredible.
And from the museum's perspective, participating in Blue Star is incredibly valuable. They often receive matching grants or corporate underwriting from national sponsors to offset the lost ticket revenue.
Oh, so they aren't just taking a loss.
No, and it allows them to explicitly demonstrate their commitment to community service, which is a metric that is crucial when they apply for larger federal arts grants.
So it's an invisible ecosystem of mutual benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And a similar ecosystem exists for those of us who aren't active military.
Yeah.
The wildly underutilized civic resource of library museum passes.
Oh, this is perhaps the most direct intersection of local taxation and public accessibility.
Yeah, you walk into your local branch, and just like checking out a hardcover novel, you check out a physical pass or print a digital barcode that grants you free or heavily discounted entry to various regional museums, zoos, and galleries.
Right.
For the patron, it feels like finding a cheat code for a free Saturday afternoon. But the mechanics behind why the library offers this are deeply tied to municipal survival.
Because libraries are in a perpetual battle for their funding.
Exactly. City councils look at spreadsheets. When it comes time to draft the municipal budget, libraries have to justify every single dollar they request.
They really do.
They have to prove with hard data that they are a vital, highly utilized hub of the community. So every single time you check out that museum pass, you generate a highly desirable circulation statistic.
Which is gold for them.
Pure gold. You are providing the library with the exact data points they need to present to the city council to secure their funding for the following year. You get a free trip to the aquarium, and the library gets empirical proof of its civic utility.
And furthermore, the museums enthusiastically participate in these library programs because it fulfills their mandate for accessibility.
Oh, right.
Many institutions receive state funding with strict stipulations that they must serve lower-income demographics who cannot afford the standard $30 ticket.
Right, of course.
Distributing passes through the public library system is the most efficient, equitable way to distribute access without, means testing individuals at the box office.
It's incredible how every free ticket is actually a carefully calculated data point in a much larger funding strategy.
It really is.
Let's look at another highly strategic offering, which is the classic free admission window. Many major institutions offer a free first Thursday evening or a complimentary Saturday morning.
Right, but the source material rightfully issues a warning regarding these specific times.
Oh.
The reality is that making a highly desirable space free to the public for a compressed window of, say, 3 hours, it results in chaotic shoulder-to-shoulder crowds.
Yeah, the environment completely shifts. It's less of a contemplative art viewing and more of a crowded subway commute.
Absolutely.
But rather than avoiding these windows entirely, you can actually deploy them as a strategic scouting mission.
Yeah, treating the free window as reconnaissance.
Exactly. Let's say you are debating a massive, expensive science center, but you don't know if your children have the attention span for it or that the exhibits are maybe too advanced for their age group.
Right.
You endure the crowds on a free Thursday night for 45 minutes. You sprint through the main halls, you gauge the atmosphere, you take the temperature of the place.
Yeah, and
If you realize the museum is incredible and requires a full day to absorb, you leave. And you gladly return the following Tuesday morning, paying full price for a quiet, immersive experience. You have effectively mitigated your financial risk.
And the museum still benefits from this behavior. These free evenings are almost never a financial loss for the institution.
Really?
No, they are typically heavily underwritten by massive corporate sponsors like banks, retail chains, or telecommunications companies.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, the corporation pays the museum a massive lump sum to brand the evening, offsetting the operational costs. And the museum uses the crowded event as a marketing funnel, hoping a percentage of those visitors will return as paying members, just as you described.
So smart. Now, the final layer of the a la carte strategy involves utilizing established discount structures. The Red Solo Traveler blog rapidly lists options like AAA memberships, bundled attraction passes, and senior discounts.
Right.
But the value here isn't just knowing these exist, it's understanding the psychology of how they are priced.
Yeah, bundled tickets like City Pass or GeoCity are fascinating studies in tourist psychology.
Right, because you pay one substantial flat rate up front, say $150 for a booklet of tickets to 5 different major attractions in a specific city.
And the companies that build these bundles negotiate bulk, heavily discounted entry rates with the museums. The museum agrees to accept less money per ticket because the City Pass guarantees a massive influx of tourists who might otherwise never have visited them.
It's guaranteed foot traffic.
Exactly. But the psychology relies on the sunk cost fallacy. Once a traveler purchases the bundle, they feel compelled to visit every single location to maximize their savings.
Leading to frantic, compressed itineraries where they sprint through 5 museums in 2 days.
Oh yeah, it's exhausting just thinking about it.
It's the buffet mentality applied to culture. You eat until you're uncomfortable just to prove you got your money's worth.
Exact.
And then you have demographic pricing, like the senior discount, which the author, Louis jokes, is the only silver lining of aging getting carded at the museum box office to prove you're over 65.
Right, and while it's presented lightly, demographic pricing serves a critical function. Senior discounts acknowledge a demographic largely operating on fixed retirement incomes, ensuring culture remains accessible to older generations.
Which is super important.
It is. Conversely, it allows the museum to capture the disposable income of wealthy, traveling retirees who might otherwise balk at the psychological barrier of a $30 ticket. Every discount is a calculated lever to maximize attendance while navigating the brutal realities of operational overhead. This raises an important question about the modern cultural landscape as a whole.
Oh, and what's that?
Well, it highlights the constant existential tension that all museums face today. On one side of the scale, you have the soaring astronomical costs of preserving history, funding academic research, and maintaining highly specialized facilities.
Right.
And on the other side of the scale is their core fundamental mission: public accessibility. If preserving a historical artifact requires ticket prices to be so exceptionally high that only the wealthy can afford to look at it, the institution fundamentally fails its civic duty to the public.
Wow, yeah. A museum with no visitors is really just a taxpayer-funded storage unit.
Precisely.
Yeah.
All of the programs we have examined today, the NARM Reciprocal Network, the library partnerships, the corporate-sponsored free days, and the bundled passes, they are essentially complex financial safety valves designed to keep that scale balanced.
To keep things running.
Yeah, they allow the museum to capture full-price revenue from tourists and deep-pocketed donors while systematically keeping the doors open for the broader community.
So what does this all mean? When we zoom out and look at the big picture of how to navigate this landscape, What is the ultimate takeaway for you, the listener, as you map out your next adventure?
Yeah.
I think it boils down to an incredible sense of relief. When you sit down with a spreadsheet to build that vacation budget, the things to do column doesn't have to be a source of anxiety.
No, it really doesn't.
You do not have to cross off a brilliant afternoon at an aquarium or a spontaneous visit to a local history center just because you already paid for an expensive flight. Whether you decide to invest in a philanthropic reciprocal membership to support the arts in your hometown, or you simply leverage the civic utility of your local public library to check out a regional pass, there are massive, firmly established networks out there designed specifically to reward your curiosity.
You just have to understand the mechanisms.
Right, and know exactly which levers to pull.
And as you think about pulling those levers, I will leave you with a final thought to mull over, a natural extension of the networks we've explored today.
Okay, lay it on us.
If a tiny, unassuming local historical society in your own hometown can instantly grant you unfettered access to world-class institutions in the Cayman Islands, Chicago, or Toronto via a reciprocal network, does the traditional concept of local history even exist anymore? Or does this philanthropic program prove that every small community museum is actually just a localized doorway into one massive, interconnected, borderless continent of shared human knowledge?
That entirely shifts the paradigm of how I view the small brick building on the corner of my town square. It is not just a repository for local artifacts, it's a portal.
Exactly.
A localized doorway that leads directly into the rest of the world. I love that. And I love that the financial Tetris of travel planning doesn't have to end with us sacrificing our curiosity at the box office. Thank you for joining us today. Keep digging into the mechanisms around you. Keep pulling those levers to feed your curiosity, and we will see you on the next deep dive.